quickly cover the steps for you to design and launch an AV experimentation, right? Cool. I think the first one is very simple. Figure out your risky assumptions. So any idea in your PM career, any idea pick, right? It will be basically composed of a bunch of assumptions you're making. So first craft you to develop is figure out the riskiest assumption between all your assumptions, right? A typical example, let's say your idea is to add COD as a payment option. You think, oh great, if I do COD, if I allow COD, suddenly my conversion rate is going to shoot up. But you have to understand that out of all the assumptions, these are two can be a risky assumption, right? Let's say your product return default rate will increase because now it's very easy people to place an order and return stuff back to you, right? Or your TAT for, and secondly, when people are paying in cash and they return your product and you refund the money back to the bank account, things are turnaround time. Those, if that thing is super high, what if people become angry on social media, right? So that's the idea. Like whenever you pick any idea, figure out the risky assumptions and focus on knocking them out first in terms of specking, and then later the experimentation scope that you build. So that's first part, figure out risky assumptions. Then, actually I had a bonus slide here. Essentially the idea is when you enter practical life as a PM, you'll see that, oh, there's a bunch of things that I can fix and improve across the talking to 5-6 stakeholders, right? Here, what is important for you to index those inputs and ideas and insights in terms of which one to go after, which one to go after now, which one to go after later, which one to not go after at all right now. I mean, from your vantage point, right? Here, you can use this kind of a spectrum where you can basically index those ideas on a scale of whether it's something to simple, whether it's idea to simplify something, whether it's to enhance something or reorder something, right? So as you go towards the right on the scale, my right, the value of the experiment, or the value of that idea / experiment increases, but correspondingly the effort also takes off, right? So you have to figure out where do you want to hit first. So if you're just got an organization, you're trying to build interesting experimentation, I would first go for experiments which are low hanging fruit, which are simplified, enhancing something. Very easy to knock out, very quick to see value. Once I build some trust with my stakeholders, once I've got some bandwidth, engineering bandwidth and all, then I move up the ladder. Then I look at, let's say, how can we pick a restructuring experiment, right? Let's say a good example of that would be, let's say you're restructuring a checkout page or restructuring the shipping engine or whatever. Those are big bets, right? But that's where the value takes off. So the basic idea is you should understand as a PM how not every idea is same. Ideas have their own positioning in terms of the value and the effort spectrum, and where should you place them and when to go after that. So that's the basic idea. You can find basically this slide I borrowed from research. You can find it in one of their blog posts. Cool. Awesome. I think first step we talked about was figuring out the riskiest assumption in idea. Second step is storyboarding the user experience. This is where most PMs, I think, go into PRD creation and document creation and then just get lost in, they're not able to creatively identify one of the best ways to solve a problem, right? Especially for B2C products. Here, I highly recommend folk storyboarding, like literally copy paste the screens or create some dummy screens if you don't have a product yet or Balsamic like to, and put them together. That's a storyboard. Storyboards are taking what Disney or any animation film uses before they build the actual film, wherein they put scene by all the scenes in line and then connect them. Right, so here what we're doing is, if you look at it closely, I have storyboarded how the user journey is going to be in the control, how the journey is currently in the control flow, and how it's going to be in the new experimental flow for my simplifies address creation flow. Now, if you look at it in very quickly, you're able to understand what change I'm trying to make. Can we do the flow in a different way? What are the engineering complexity? Everything comes up very quickly for you, for the designers, for engineers, everyone to align. And then you go to PRD creation. So that was that means second important suggestion in terms of workflow. Visualize. Don't go into specking yet. Visualize, and then you understand that nitty-gritties are a better approach, and then you'll be able to come up with a better solution. Better, and more importantly, something that everyone's aligns on in terms of in terms of effort, in terms of value, and the quality of experience. The third step here is understanding a user cohorts. Figure out the key insight here. This is being that if you look at all of your users, not everyone will have the same level of excitement or positioning about the change you're making. There will be people who will show very positive impact, and there will be people who show you no impact at all, or there could be people who show negative impact. So in the example I took in the address creation page, for example, right? The people who show very positive impact would be the senior citizens who are very struggling to actually get an order on their own. But people like us, you and I, right, savvy guys, we may not show any delta. I know how to fill a form. I know how to place an order, create an order. I'm not so much so worried, right? So the goal here is to identify, be cognizant of, out of all the random users I'm going to be selecting, which of the users are most likely to show positive and which one is show more negative, and then see if you need to tweak your experiment in a way to cater to all these kind of users or ignore certain kind of users. You might see people in the red, they're too small. It's just 0.1%. I don't need to worry about them. I will not tweak my experiment to cater to them. I'm only going to focus on the first 3 buckets. But basically, just know that not everyone's the same. You've identified who will react in what way and what is the size of each of these buckets. So that's the main insight here. Third, the next one is basically identifying your impact, your metrics, right? Here, basically, for every experiment, you would be measuring it. I think that's very clear by now that you have to quantify the impact of any experiment. Here, the main thing you have to keep in mind is, like I said, experiments are bet, right? It can go either way. It could be show you very positive impact, it show you very negative impact. But the least you can do is you can have a certain level of confidence. Chalega ki nahi chalega, chalega to itna acha chalega, all that stuff, right? So the best practice here is figure out your metrics, which I think you will obviously be able to know because that's very standard. So, but then essentially bucket your metric one by one in one of these boxes, right? Whether there's definitely going to be some impact or there could be some impact, but there could be no impact. So yeah, as a PM, you have to develop the gut instinct to be able to say, hey, I'm fairly confident which impact hoga, nahi hoga, or negative ho sakta hai, right? And from then, you come to this scale, which is if there's some impact, I have a 90% confidence ki high impact hoga, or I have a 90% confidence ki medium impact hoga. Why this is important? Because it's very fun to build an experiment and ship it out, right? But the what's key as a senior person, as you gain more seniority in your product management career, right, is being able to prioritize between multiple opportunities. Which one should I go after? Which one should I let go of? Or which one should I be very vocal about? Hey, senior manager, you think this is going to be very high impacting, but I think actually it's going to be low impact. So let's be on the same page. You should, you're not over expecting impact or results out of this particular area that I'm trying to, right? So I think identifying a metric as well as impact was the key idea I want to make. The probable impact, right? So that's where you need to develop a good gut instinct. The last piece here, second last piece is determine the duration of a statistical for your experiment, because obviously you can run an experiment for 1 second or 1 hour or 1 week or 1 year. You have to figure out the right time. So there are certain preset tools which will let you do that, where they report the conversion rate, change you're expecting, the number of users you have, and then help you understand for how much long you should run the experiment. Now, the rule of thumb here is try to not close any experiment before 2 weekends. That's a little experiment rule of thumb, right? Because when you cover 2 weekends, you cover 2 cyclic changes when users behave, right? People behave differently over the weekend versus weekdays. So when you cover 2 weekends, you would have covered the full cycle of the user behavior and the results which are much more normalized. So that's general thing, but you can use these kind of tools to get a good sense. So yeah, 2 weekends, which is this part, which is just covered. Start with experiment rollout, which is start with a very low rollout, which is 10%. And then another hack is you'll get, when you dive more into experimentation, you come across this term called statistical significance. I will not cover in detail, too much detail here. I think you can read about it on your own. But the basic idea is whether or not my results are going to hold in real world, right? I think so that was your question mostly around, okay, hey, I'm seeing something here that's going to work out in real life or no. How do you figure out, right? So statistical significance is a tool we use, experiment analysis used to figure out, hey, let's say generally we say, okay, if someone says statistical significance 95% means that the delta you are seeing, there's a 95% probability कि itna hi impact hoga when this role does all the users. If the statistical significance 50%, what is trying to tell you is there's a 50% chance कि जो भी आप delta यहाँ पे देख रहे हो 40% improvement in metrics वगैरह whatever, it may or may not hold when you roll out all users, right? So that's the basic idea. You are optimizing for getting to statistical significance, and for that you're trying to figure out how much duration for which you should roll out your experiment. right? So that's that. Here's a bit about audience allocation where you can actually, I think someone asked me a question early on, whether we need to do an equitable distribution or we could switch. So here's your answer again. You may, like in the first C setup, we are doing equitable 1:1 distribution in all the codes, but I can actually change that and say, boss, no, I want to restrict percentage users going into the variant. So it's completely in your hands, but highly recommend doing 50-50 allocation for a very easy calculation of results and for you to trust the results down the line, right? And lastly, spec out what will happen post the rollout. This is a number one mistake people do. We create experiments, we create the spec, we roll it out, but we don't know what to do once the results are bad, especially, right? What to do? When it's bad, do you shut the experiment? Do you, or do you know that, oh, there's something I have knowingly skipped. I should then now build that and then should roll it again, right? So the main idea is have a plan in your mind. If for any scenario, what will you do? If the experiment works as expected, what will you do next? You'll add it to the sprint plan and get it built as a proper feature. If it's turned out to be inconclusive, that impact is about 0% or 0.5%. What will you do? Would you do more user research to figure out why it didn't work out as much as you wanted, or would you just drop it, right? And third scenario is it's a negative impact. Your idea actually reduce the metric, quality of the metric, right? In that case, what would you do? Would you basically look at logs? Would you do more user research? Would you figure out different way to solve the problem altogether, or would you just shut it off, right? So that's the last piece here. That please think again. I've tried to cover the non-obvious things across these 6 steps, because that's what I felt are the things where I failed when I, as a PM, when I was doing experimentation. But yeah, that's about it.